the passenger side. I was driving back from my friend's place late one night, somewhere around 1:30 a.m. The highway was mostly empty, nothing but trees on either side, and that weird, endless quiet that makes you feel like the world's fallen asleep without you. I'd taken this road dozens of times, but that night felt different. The air was heavy, the darkness too thick, even with my headlights cutting through it. I rolled the window down slightly, hoping the breeze would shake the weird feeling off me. It didn't. About 20 minutes in, I noticed a figure walking along the side of the road. I slowed a little. She was barefoot, wearing a white dress, thin like it didn't belong in this cold. Long black hair hid her face. At first, I thought she might have been in an accident, so I eased onto the shoulder and rolled the window down a bit more. "Hey, are you okay?" I called out. She stopped walking, didn't look up, didn't answer, just stopped. And then, without a sound, she turned and began walking toward my car. Something about the way she moved made every nerve in me tense. Her arms hung limply, head tilted too far to one side, like it didn't belong on her shoulders. I panicked, threw the car into drive, and took off. I looked in the rear-view mirror. She was standing in the middle of the road, still watching. Her head slowly turned to follow my car. And then the radio cut in. "Thank you for the ride." I nearly swerved off the road. The voice was soft, female, in my back seat. I didn't look. I couldn't. I just kept driving. I flicked my eyes toward the rearview mirror, and for a split second, I saw her, sitting there, soaking wet, smiling, her eyes wide, unblinking, like she'd been waiting the whole time. I slammed the brakes and turned around. The back seat was empty. Nothing. Not even water. Not even a footprint. Just silence, and a soft whisper near my ear. "You missed the turn." I didn't stop again until the sky turned gray and I reached home. Every time I drive that highway now, I keep the doors locked, the music off, and my eyes fixed forward. Because I know if I check the mirror again, I might not be alone. It was just after midnight when I left the diner, coffee still bitter on my tongue. The air outside was damp and heavy, and the parking lot was nearly empty, just a few flickering fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. I slid into my car, the leather seat cold, and the silence inside the cabin pressed on me the moment I shut the door. The road home was about an hour away, a stretch of highway I'd driven countless times before. Usually I enjoyed the solitude of late-night drives, the hum of the tires, the steady rhythm of the engine, the hypnotic blur of trees rushing past. But that night felt different. The fog hung low, curling across the pavement like smoke, and the beams of my headlights seemed too weak, swallowed by the blackness pressing in on either side. About 20 minutes into the drive, I noticed a pair of headlights in the rearview mirror. At first, they were distant, just two pinpricks of light, but they began to creep closer. I didn't think much of it until I realized that no matter what speed I went, the car behind me matched it. When I pushed the gas a little harder, so did they. When I let up and slowed, the lights pulled back just enough to keep the same distance. The rhythm of it made my skin crawl. Maybe they were just headed the same way. I told myself that over and over, but my hands still tightened around the wheel, and a nervous sweat formed at the back of my neck. To test it, I took an exit I didn't need, the kind of exit that led onto a back road cutting through forest, one I almost never used. My stomach turned as I saw the headlights mirror my movements, following me off the highway. This road was worse. No street lights, no other cars, just a narrow stretch of asphalt winding between dense trees. My headlights swept over skeletal branches, the shadows between them impossibly deep. I pressed the accelerator, the speedometer climbing, heart pounding in my chest. I flicked my eyes up to the mirror again. The headlights were gone. At first, relief surged through me, and I laughed shakily at how ridiculous I was being. But that relief didn't last long. Something caught my eye in the corner of my vision, something moving alongside my car. I turned my head, and that's when I saw it. A figure, running in the trees, keeping pace with me even though I was pushing nearly 80 miles an hour. Its movements weren't natural. Its arms swung wide and jerky, its legs almost too long for its body, and yet it covered the ground with terrifying ease. For a moment I thought I was imagining it, some trick of the light and fog. Then it turned its head toward me. Even in the darkness I could see its face, or what passed for one. The skin was pale, stretched tight, its mouth carved into a grin, too wide, too sharp. The eyes were hollow pits, but somehow I could feel them locking on mine. I nearly lost control of the car as the road curved, jerking the wheel to stay on the asphalt. My heart slammed in my chest so hard it hurt. When I dared to glance back, the figure was gone. But I wasn't alone. The headlights returned. They weren't far back anymore. They were right on me, blindingly bright in the mirror, washing the inside of the car in white. I couldn't see a shape behind them, couldn't make out a driver, just pure light that seemed to press closer and closer until it filled everything. And then, darkness. The lights cut off in an instant. My rearview mirror reflected only empty road. I drove the rest of the way home without daring to look back again, hands trembling on the wheel. But sometimes, late at night, when the road is empty and the fog rolls low, I'll glance into the mirror out of habit, and I swear I see two lights flicker in the distance, waiting for me to notice. Headlights in the fog. I've never liked driving late at night. There's something unnatural about empty highways, like the world has been abandoned and I'm left wandering through the husk of it. That night was worse than usual. The fog was thick, crawling low across the road, and my headlights did little to cut through it. Everything beyond that pale beam was swallowed in darkness. At first, it was just me and the hum of my tires, mile after mile of silence. The radio didn't get reception out there, so it was just the faint rattle of the engine and the occasional hiss of wind sneaking through the cracked window. I was starting to relax, lulled into that trance of long drives, when I saw them. Two faint points of light in my rearview mirror. Headlights. At first, they didn't bother me. Someone else taking the same road, nothing unusual about that. But after a few minutes, I noticed something strange. Every time I changed my speed, they matched me. When I accelerated, they sped up. When I slowed, they fell back just enough to keep the exact same distance. The rhythm of it got under my skin. It didn't feel like coincidence, it felt deliberate. I tried to shake the feeling. Maybe they were just zoning out, copying my pace without realizing, but the unease in my stomach wouldn't go away. So I decided to test it. I took an exit I never used, a narrow road that cut through miles of forest. The kind of road that made you feel swallowed whole, with no lights, no towns, just miles of trees pressing in on both sides. The headlights behind me followed without hesitation. That's when the real fear started. I pushed the accelerator harder, watching the speedometer climb, the engine strain. The headlights stayed right where they were, not gaining, not falling behind, just locked on me. Then, without warning, they were gone. One blink of the eye and the mirror reflected nothing but endless black road. No gradual fade, no turn-off. Just gone, like they had never existed. Relief flooded me, but it was thin and short-lived, because that's when I saw something moving in the trees. It was running. At first, I thought it was a deer, some animal startled by the noise of my car. But then my stomach dropped. It was upright, tall, human-shaped, but moving too fast, impossibly fast, its limbs jerking in unnatural strides as it kept pace with my car. The fog shifted, and for a split second my headlights caught its face. Pale, skin stretched tight, a mouth grinning too wide, filled with teeth that didn't look right, didn't look human. And its eyes, hollow, black, fixed directly on me. I nearly lost control of the car, swerving away. When I glanced back, the thing was gone, just swallowed up by the trees like it had never been there. But before I could catch my breath, the headlights returned. Only now they weren't distant. They were right on me, blinding, filling every inch of the rearview mirror with pure white light. I couldn't see the road behind, couldn't make out the shape of a car, couldn't even tell if there was anyone driving. Just light, crushing, suffocating, closing in. And then, darkness, gone again, as if they had blinked out of existence. I drove the rest of the way home with my eyes locked forward, hands stiff on the wheel. I didn't look in the mirror again until I pulled into my driveway, heart still hammering. It's been months since that night, but sometimes when the fog is heavy and the road is empty, I catch myself glancing in the rearview mirror, and every so often I see it, the faint glow of two lights in the distance, waiting for me to notice,